So just as I promised in the previous video, in this video I want to show you a couple of Spanish words and how I form plurals using the guidelines that we covered in the past video. So let's start with the first one, which is la vez, and it basically means time in English. But let me just put it into a sentence to show you what type of time it actually means. For example, you can have a sentence saying, cada vez que despierto, me duele la cabeza, which means every time I wake up, my head hurts or I have a headache. So this is the type of time that this would translate into. And we said in the previous video that if you have a word that ends with a Z and you want to transform it into a plural, what you have to do is that you have to change the Z to a C and add the suffix es. So if I want to say more times, I would say las veces. And you probably noticed that the way I read vez, so the Z in this word, is the same way that I pronounce the C in this word. And that goes back to our alphabet videos and the pronunciation of consonants videos, when we discussed that both of these, in some cases, or in most cases, they are pronounced the same way, and it is most similar to the English TH sound, so th. Okay, let's move on to the other word, which is el martes, which means Tuesday. And again, in the previous video, we said that if you have a word that ends with an S, and the S is preceded by an unaccented vowel, that means we don't change the word itself, sorry, when we're creating a plural. So if we want to make, or if we want to say not one Tuesday, but more Tuesdays, the only thing we change is el to los, because the word itself kind of has a plural form or a form resembling a plural, so we don't have to change it. So el martes becomes los martes. Again, if you want to see it in a sentence, I can have a sentence saying, on Tuesday I will play football, which means only this particular Tuesday, and it would sound like this. Voy a jugar al fútbol el martes. So this is this Tuesday, this one time. But if I wanted to say a sentence, we play football on Tuesdays, which means regularly, so more Tuesdays, I would need the plural form. And the phrase would be like this. Jugamos al fútbol los martes. So this is a plural, which means that there were more Tuesdays, which means we do it regularly. Okay, now the third word, which we've already discussed a couple times in the previous videos, especially you might remember it from the gender peculiarities that we talked about, la mano, which means hand. It ends with an O, but even in spite of the fact it is of feminine gender. And this is one of the most straightforward or easiest way to form a plural, because if we have a word that ends with an unaccented vowel, which la mano does, we only add an S to the end. So la mano, and plural will be las manos. So one hand, but more hands. The other word, el elefante, which you probably have thought yourself means elephant, is also the same case. So it is a word that ends with an unaccented vowel. So the only thing we do is that we change this to the plural form and we add an S to the end. So el elefante, los elefantes. Now, the other word that we have here is la reacción, which again you probably have thought of yourself means reaction. And this is a different case because it has a consonant and also an accented vowel here. So let me show you how I would write the plural. La reacción, in the plural, more reactions would be las reacciones. Las reacciones. Okay, so it ends with a consonant. Therefore, I added es. That is the basic rule. If you have a word ending with a consonant, other than an s, usually, because that would be this case, you only add es to the end. However, you may have noticed that right here we have a tilde, so we have an accented vowel, and in the plural form, it is not accented. And this is a similar case that I explained in the previous video, when we divided the words in syllables, and we talked about, in some cases when you form plurals or singulars, the word might either lose an accent or gain an accent. And that is in order to retain the original or the, most proper, most beautiful way of pronouncing it. So I can show it once more again to you. Let's divide this word into syllables. Reacciones. This is a word that ends with an S. That means we stress the next to last syllable. So this is the syllable that is naturally stressed. Reacciones. However, if this word didn't have the tilde, so we didn't have like an ordered accent, let's divide it. Reacción. This word ends with an N. That would mean that if we were using the normal laws for this word, we would have to stress this syllable, and it would sound like this. Reacción. And it doesn't just sound right, and again, it doesn't make any sense for the singular form to have a different accentuation than the plural form. So that is why sometimes when you form plurals or singulars from Spanish nouns, you might see the change in accents. And again, this is something you don't really need to remember. You know, when you're going to start writing in Spanish, I don't really expect you to, go through all these laws and rules and, figuring out, okay, where do I put the accent? This is going to come quite naturally to you. But I'd say that in order to understand a language and to speak a language, you should be familiar that there are these rules and laws, and that, it's not just someone just pulls it out of their pocket and just, uses it. So just to show you that there are rules that exist, that talk about accentuation, that talk about, everything that we've covered, but I don't expect you to know them or to use them, just to kind of be familiar with them. Okay, so that was enough, I guess. Let's move on to the second word, which will also be similar because we'll be moving the accent a little bit. But let's get back to the rules that we know about making plurals. So la imagen, which means image, again, a word very similar to the English language. And we can say that it ends with a consonant. What do we do when we have a word ending with a consonant and we want to make it into a plural form? Well, we add es. So la imagen, las imágenes. And again, what I did here is that I added the accent because in the singular form the accent is on this syllable, and I want to keep it on that syllable even if I'm doing the plural form, so I have to add it there. And the last word I have here is el francés, which means French. So it's an adjective, something pertaining to France, or it can be a Frenchman, or it can even be the French language. And but in this case, we'd probably be talking about a Frenchman, el francés. If I want to say there are more French people somewhere, I would say los franceses. Okay, los franceses. Franceses. And this is again one of the cases where we omit the tilde, where we omit the accentuation in the plural form, because naturally in this word the accent is on this syllable, franceses, el francés, los franceses. Okay, and the way we formed it again is that we had a word ending with an S, preceded by an accented vowel. We added es, and we also had the rule about the change of accents in order to keep the accent in its natural syllable. Okay, I believe that's all. So just a quick recap, or just again, I'd like to point out the message of this video and most of the previous videos. These are rules that I don't really expect you to learn and that you won't be learning. I myself, when I speak Spanish or write in Spanish, I don't think about these rules. But it's good to know them, it's good to be aware of them, and you'll probably find it easier to understand some of the phenomena that you'll be seeing in the Spanish language once you're familiar with these rules and laws. So thank you for your attention, and I'll see you at the next video.